Palestinian man killed at West Bank checkpoint as Blinken begins Middle East trip. Ukraine needs faster supply of Western weapons, says Zelensky. Boris Johnson says Putin claimed he could send missile to UK in a minute. We're fighting for a free future. The Chechen battalions siding with KIV. Russia-Ukraine war at a glance. What we know on day 341 of the invasion. Palestinian man killed at West Bank checkpoint as Blinken begins Middle East trip. The Palestinian man has died after an altercation with Israeli troops, as violence in the region continued to spiral before the arrival of the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. Nasimnakov Salman Abu Fouad, 26, was shot in the head at a checkpoint in the wrested city of Hebron in the occupied West Bank, the Palestinian Health Ministry said on Monday. The Israeli army said Abu Fouad had driven his car into a soldier, and crashed it after shots were fired and he attempted to drive off. Ukraine needs faster supply of Western weapons, says Zelensky. Volodymyr Zelenskiy has called for Western weapons to be supplied more quickly as Russian forces continued attacks on positions across the front line near the eastern cities of Bakhmut and Donetsk. Boris Johnson says Putin claimed he could send missile to UK in a minute. Boris Johnson has said Vladimir Putin claimed he could have sent the missile to hit Britain within a minute in a call shortly before the invasion of Ukraine. The former Prime Minister's comments came in the three-part documentary for BBC Two on the conflict and the lead-up to Russia's invasion in February last year. It had been a conversation about hypothetical support for NATO on Russia's borders if Putin decided to invade, as Johnson tried to talk Putin down. He told the makers of Putin versus the West that he did not regard Putin's comments as a threat. He went on to become one of the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy's biggest supporters and has visited Kyiv since resigning as Prime Minister. We're fighting for a free future, the Chechen battalions siding with Kyiv. For all their efforts fighting for Ukraine in the eastern city of Bakhmut. If the Chechen volunteers' Khardudayev battalion was a football club, it would be Millwall. Nobody likes us, their fans sing, and we don't care, says Toward, 38, with a laugh. Once I heard from one Ukrainian, you can do what you want here in Ukraine, but you will still in our opinion be terrorists and gangsters, says the Chechen private, who asked to be identified only by his call sign. And I said, you know what the difference between me and you, or my nation and yours? We don't care what Ukrainians think about us. We don't care what Americans, Russians or British think of us. In truth, we do not care what the Chechens think of us. Yeah. We have to do what we have to do, you know. The Kremlin-backed Ramzan Kadyrov's infamous Chechen militia is a well-known entity, disparagingly known as the TikTok Army for their tendency to perform military theatrics on camera for the purpose of social media shares. Their main claim to fame is a record of terrorizing civilians abroad and at home, where Kadyrov rules through cruelty and fear. Russia-Ukraine war at a glance. What we know on day 341 of the invasion. Russian shelling of residential areas in Ukraine's southern city of Kherson left at least 3 people dead and 10 injured, local authorities said. The Kherson Regional Military Administration said on its Telegram channel that Russian forces targeted a hospital, school, bus station, post office, bank and residential buildings in a strike on Sunday. A missile hit an apartment building in Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city, killing 1 person and injuring 3 others, according to the regional governor. Police in Hubot said the missile struck the city center on Sunday, and that an elderly woman's body was pulled from the rubble. He said 15 residents of the building were evacuated immediately after the explosion, and will be provided with temporary accommodation.